I'd like to present our second speaker for today's program. The second seminar is going to be presented by Dr. Harjot Kaur Singh, and the seminar is titled The Pivotal Contributions of Shri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj to Sikhism. So a brief bio about Dr. Singh. Dr. Singh is a dynamic and knowledgeable speaker and lecturer to interfaith groups and is a representative of the Calgary Sikh community. Among her leadership roles, Dr. Singh is the chair of the Sikh Advisory Committee of UCalgary's Faith and Spirituality Center, on the board of directors of the Guru Amar Das Nivas Seniors Nursing Home Association, the chair of the International Khalsa Council, and the inaugural Lil Fader Scholar in Residence for the Beth Tzedek Synagogue. She is on the board of directors of SikhNet and an integral part of Calgary Women in Spirituality. Dr. Singh holds a Bachelor's of Science in Cellular, Molecular, and Microbial Biology, a fellow Faculty of Science graduate, and a medical degree from the University of Calgary. She works in private practice as a family physician. Dr. Singh currently serves as the chair of the Alberta Health Services Spiritual Care Advisory Committee, and until this year served as the chair of the Calgary Foothills Primary Care Network. She was awarded the Pluralism Award of Excellence from the University of Calgary in 2017. Please welcome Dr. Singh.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. It is my great privilege to be presenting the pivotal contributions of Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj to the Sikh religion. And this is a reflective look at those crucial contributions of the fifth Guru that pivotally shaped the Sikh religion, the Sikh month, and the fundamentals of Sikh practice. From the perspective of the Sikh, Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj's contributions, there are a couple points that I really want to dwell on. The concept of Gurbani, the concept of the Sri Harmandir Sahib, the concept and the formulation of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, and the concept of martyrdom. And I put this slide up as a reminder for the concept of Gurbani. And at the base of the Manji Sahib, where Guru Amar Das Ji Maharaj is sitting, as a toddler, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj is trying to climb up the Manji. And at one point, his grandfather said, "Who is disturbing my Manji?" And Bibi Pani said, "It is Arjan." And she tried to stop him, and Guru Amar Das Ji Maharaj said, "Dota, Bani ka bota," that my grandson, he will be the great vessel for the Gurbani. And so I place this slide here. In the concept of Gurbani, Sri Guru Amar Das Ji Maharaj was a prolific spiritual writer, composer, 2,218 hymns in 30 ragas, and each in the hymns written with such linguistic mastery of different languages, but also in the mastery of poetic verse. And that poetic verse gives us that Naad sound current, the Naad by the recitation of the Gurbani, causing a neuroendocrine cascade which affects the consciousness of an individual. And this Gurbani actually started at the time when the fourth Guru was in the Guruship, when the Guru sent Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, at the time Sirf Arjan Dev Ji, when he was sent away, and in his longing to be with Guru Ramdas, with his father, he wrote the Shabd Hazare, the 4 letters from Shabd Hazare, starting with Mera Man Loche. Guru Sahib was the most prolific Guru for writing the scriptures, And so that is why Guru Amar Das Ji Maharaj said that he will be the large vessel for the Shabd Guru, for the Gurmani. Another of Guru Sahib's compositions is Sukhmani Sahib. And Sukhmani is the peace lagoon. It is that bani that has been created to imbue physical, mental, emotional, spiritual peace to the individual as they recite it, and to cover the single number of breaths. Each breath per day is covered by Sukhmani Sahib. The bani is formulated mathematically to cover every second of a 24-hour day. And it was interesting to me to see how this was attained. And so if we look at the mathematical formula of Sukhmani Sahib, this is by Sant Gyani Kirpal Singh in Amar Katha Shant Sagar, where they calculated that an experienced yogi who could control their breath and breathing through pranayama and meditation in 24 hours would take 21,264 breaths, and the average individual would take an extra 2,373 breaths. And then Guru Sahib added 3 extra letters to Sukhmani Sahib to give us 24,000 akkars or letters in Sukhmani Sahib. And this is to cover the individual's 24,000 breaths per day with peace. And the interesting thing is, as a medical physician, we talk about how many are the average breaths that an individual will take when they're breathing normally, and it is between 16 to 17 breaths. And if you do the math, you come out to about 24,000 breaths per day. So Guru Sahib was very masterful in his composition of the Gurbani. The concept of the Sri Harmandir Sahib. And so it is commonly understood or told that Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj was the one who was responsible for the architecture and the building of the Sri Harmandir Sahib. And so it is said at the time that the bricks were laid, and it is commonly thought that Baba Buddha Ji said to Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, please lay the brick. And then the Guru requested Mian Mir to lay the brick as he gave it to them. In the concept of the Sri Harmandir Sahib, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj went beyond the thinking of that time, in that in the Hindu mandirs, the doorway was always towards the east, and in the Muslim masjids, the doorway was towards Kaaba, Makkah, Medina. So, but Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj said, and had the spiritual foresight to say that we need to have 4 doors to the Sri Harmandir Sahib, that it is equal to all people, open to all people, independent, irrespective of caste, creed, gender, sex, race, or religion. And the concept was that it doesn't matter what your standing in society is, that there is equality in the house of the divine without any discrimination. Another concept that Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj actually did, the Sikhs at the time asked Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, the Harmandir Sahib should be higher, the Gurdwara should be the highest of all. And Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj particularly said no, that we should, as individuals, walk in, and the Harmandir will be the lower, at the lower level. And that signifies something very important, because when we enter the house of the divine, the Gurdwara, wherever we pray, we enter as individuals with the consciousness of humbleness and humility. And that humbleness and humility allows us to connect with the divine and also have the divine blessing, gurpurab. Next, I'd like to move to the concept of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. And so we go back to Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj and his speaking, his dialogue with the yogis in the Bani Siddh Gosht. And the yogis asked Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj a lot of questions in this Bani, and it's recorded. And so they asked, because Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj had a pivotal role in exploding the common philosophies that were held at that time. And so they asked Guru Nanak Dev Ji, well, who is your Guru? And who are you a disciple of? And Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj said, the Shabad, the word is my Guru, and my focus or my consciousness is its disciple. Just as Dr. Saab was relating, Shabad Guru Sortatun Jema. So there was an understanding set by Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj that the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, the Shabad, the scripture, the word, was to become the eternal Guru of all Sikhs. And it was very important that the Shabad Guru, the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, was standardized, was unalterable, was unchanging, and existing for all times. And we see here Guru Nanak Dev Ji and then Guru Gobind Singh Ji passing that light, the jot of divine knowledge and radiance and wisdom to the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. So when Guru Arjan Dev Ji went to compile the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, it took form initially as the Adi Granth. And Guru Arjan Dev Ji understood there was a need to standardize the scripture because already his elder brother was composing scripture and passing it off as Guru Nanak's. And so because of that reason, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj felt it is very important to standardize the Gurbani. Also, the pothis and writings from the four gurus preceding were in the presence or were being held by Mohan, who was the son of Guru Amar Das Ji. And so Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, first sent by Gurdas, who came back empty-handed, and then he sent Baba Buddha Ji, who came back empty-handed, and then Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj himself went to the house of Bhai Mohan, who was a very astute meditator, sitting in Samadhi, and started reciting some hymns, Mohan Sabte Ucha, in praise of the divine. And after that recitation, Bhai Mohan Singh's Samadhi broke, and he realized the Guru is standing there. And then he gave the pothis from the preceding Gurus to Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj. In 1603, the Guru started to collect all the Gurbani, and he organized it at Gurdwara Ramsar Sahib with Bhai Gurdas Ji. And the important thing to remember in this organization of the Gurbani, the Guru also felt it was very important to include the scriptures of the Hindu Bhagats and the Musliman Bhagats or Pirs of the time. But he didn't include all of their Bani. He included the Bani that was vetted to the level of elevating the human consciousness to that of a divine consciousness. And so there needed to be no ego in it. And what is even more important, in the Bhagats, Bani that is included, oftentimes they were of lower caste system. And Guru Sahib included that Bani that actually then elevated them to be able to make the point that any individual human being can pray to the divine, can have realization of God consciousness. And also he did go to Baba Sri Chand Ji Maharaj, and he asked Baba Sri Chand to add something to Sukhmani Sahib. And Baba Sri Chand, after the 16th party of Sukhmani Sahib, where the slok comes Aad Sach, Jugad Sach, Hai Bhai Sach, Baba Siri Chand just changed the punctuation of Guru Nanak's Bani from Mool Mantra. The Gurbani also was organized in ragas, 30 ragas used by Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj. There's one other rag that was added later, Rag Jaja Vanti by Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji. And it's organized by virtue of the Banis of Japji, Soldar, Kirtan Sola. Then the ragas have each of the Gurus' writings first, then other writers. And Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj had the insight and the intuition to know what Bani was coming from the 9th Guru, Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji. And so pages were left behind to be included for the Guru's writings to come. The completion of the Adi Granth was in 1604, and in September 4th, 1604, the Adi Granth was installed in the Sri Harmandir Sahib Ji. And the first Prakash Hukamnama came from Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj's writings himself. The Lord himself has stood to resolve the affairs of saints. He himself comes to complete their tasks. Santan ke karaj aap khaloya, har kam karavanaya na. In the concept of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji and the Adi Granth, Guru Arjan Dev Ji was the Guru, the living Guru at that time. But with the spiritual insight, he understood that the eventual Guruship will come to the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. And so, as soon as the Adi Granth was installed in the Harmandir Sahib, Guru Arjan Dev Ji always sat lower, and the throne, the manji, the palki, that was for the Adi Granth. And so much so respect, he established the supremacy of the Shabad by always sitting lower, but also in his bedroom, he always used to sleep on the floor, and the Adi Granth was Sukhasan above him. And this is my picture from one of my trips to Harmandir Sahib. This is from the Akal Takht Sahib. And if you can see, it's hard to see, but you can see at the very bottom of the throne or the bed, there is a small sheet, and that is always placed in the Guru's Sukhasan room in remembrance of Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj and how Maharaj Ji used to lay on the floor and the Adi Granth would be at a higher level. And the Guru kept the Adi Granth in his same bedroom. So the concept of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji is that they were the first spiritual writings written and recorded during the lifetime of the Gurus. They were the first spiritual writings vetted by the living Guru, Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj. They were the first interfaith spiritual writings. So those, including of the Sikh Gurus, the Parts, also the Muslim sons as the peers, as well as the Bhagats, and some Sikhs as well, some of the Ragis as well. And also the concept that the Shabad Guru, the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji will become, after the 10 incarnations of the living Guru, will become the supreme authority and the final Guru, the eternal Guru for all Sikhs. And now I wanted to talk about the concept of martyrdom. And so a definition of a martyr is a person who is put to death or endures any great suffering due to their belief, principle, or cause, or someone who willingly suffers death rather than renouncing his or her religion. Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, he was the very first Sikh martyr, and he set an example for standing for truth and righteousness. He was an actual, the prophet, the master, the leader of the religion at the time when he was persecuted, and he actually started the lineage of martyrdom, as the lineage of martyrdom actually did not exist prior to Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj. He was ordered by Emperor Jahangir to embrace Islam, to change some of Gurbani references within the Adi Granth with regards to Hindus and Muslims. He was also imprisoned and tortured. There were a couple other reasons also, almost a couple other reasons also why he was being persecuted. But Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj didn't back down. He didn't try and make any deal with Jahangir. He felt it was his rule and principle to stand for truth and righteousness. And he also was aware that he wouldn't return. And so he passed the Guruship to Guru Hargobind Maharaj Ji. For 5 days and nights, he was on the hot plate, and hot sand was poured on his body. And it was so brutal torture at that time. A Sufi saint, Mir actually came to Guru Sahib, who was a good friend of Guru Sahib as well, and said, Guru Sahib, please stop this torture with your power. And the Guru said, no. Mir said, then I'm going to stop it with my power. And the Guru stopped Mir, because he said, look up to the heavens, Mir, see, I am not suffering. But the Guru realized that he had to walk the path that other Sikhs were going to walk. And he says, I do not blame anyone else. Thy will is sweet to my mind. Olano me kamu na dio, manich toaro dio. So on May 30th, 1606, the Guru Sahib, after 5 days and nights, asked to bathe in the river Ravi, and the currents were so strong that they carried Guru Sahib away. And his martyrdom was a real watershed moment in the Sikh religion, because up until that point, the thought, the teaching, the thinking was all about love, peace, equality, practice. But Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj had instructed Guru Hargobind that now after my martyrdom, it will be time to start the military nature to defend the dharma, to defend the way of life. And so he gave that direction to Guru Hargobind. And then that martyrdom started a lineage of martyrs that actually continues to this day. So in the contributions of Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, I hope you realize that it hits every single aspect of Sikh practice to this day. And sometimes as Sikhs, we focus on Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, we focus on Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj, but Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj actually did some very fundamental contributions that shape our practice today. And so speaks Matra, one of the Paks, there is no difference between God and Guru. Guru Arjan Dev Ji is the personification of the Lord himself. And so I hope with that, I have been able to inculcate some of the contributions of the fifth Guru and the importance that he gives to our Sikh practice to this very day. I'd like to thank all of you for listening, and I'd like to congratulate the Committee of Sikh Society of Calgary for having this wonderful event. And my regards to all the Sad Sangat that's here, all the dignitary and the important people. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Now I'd like to invite a distinguished member of the Canadian Armed Forces, Captain Dullet, and members of the military museums, Rory Corey, Indra, and Alan Ross.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਸ ਆ ਬੇਸਿਕਲੀ ਇਹ ਆ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਪਣਾ ਯੂਥ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਆ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨ ਆਰਮ ਫੋਰਸਿਸ ਨਾਲ ਜੋੜ ਸਕੀਏ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਰਿਪਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਆਲ ਦ ਵੇ ਥਰੂ ਹੋਵੇ। ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਿ ਪੋਲੀਟਿਕਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਣੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਸ ਕਾਫੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹੈ, ਉਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਚਾਹਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਮਿਲਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਉਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਸ ਹੋਵੇ। ਬਟ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਮੇਨ ਮਿਲਟਰੀ ਮਿਊਜ਼ੀਅਮ ਦੇ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਵੋਲੰਟੀਅਰਸ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਰਿਸਰਚਰਸ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਊਰੇਟਰਸ ਆ, ਉਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਜ ਇੱਥੇ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਹੋਏ ਨੇ। ਉਹਦਾ ਰੀਜ਼ਨ ਇਹ ਆ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਿਲਟਰੀ ਮਿਊਜ਼ੀਅਮ 'ਤੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਕਾਫੀ ਐਗਜ਼ੀਬਿਸ਼ਨਸ ਲਾਈਆਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ, ਅਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਸ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਕਾਫੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ। ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਨੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਆ ਉਹ ਮਿਲਟਰੀ ਮਿਊਜ਼ੀਅਮ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਣ ਸਕੇ ਆ। ਲੇਕਿਨ ਅੱਜ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਥੇ ਕਿਊਰੇਟਰ ਰੋਰੀ ਕੋਰੀ ਆ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਆਰਮੀ ਮਿਲਟਰੀ ਮਿਊਜ਼ੀਅਮ ਦੇ ਕਿਊਰੇਟਰ ਆ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟ ਆ। ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ 2 ਵੋਲੰਟੀਅਰਸ ਰਿਸਰਚਰਸ ਆ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟ ਆ। ਸੋ ਬਿਫੋਰ ਆਈ ਗੋ ਟੂ ਦੈਮ, ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਇੰਟਰੋਡਿਊਸ ਕਰੂੰਗਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਨੂੰ, ਸੈਕੰਡ ਲੈਫਟੀਨੈਂਟ ਰੰਧਾਵਾ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ 41 ਸਰਵਿਸ ਬਟਾਲੀਅਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੈ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਲਈ ਨਾ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਤਾਲੀਆਂ ਵਜਾ ਦਿਓ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ ਬਾਈਕ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਿ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਹਰਜੋਤ ਕੌਰ ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਦਲਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੈਂਟੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਦਿੰਦੀਆਂ, ਵੀ ਰੀਅਲੀ ਐਪਰੀਸ਼ੀਏਟ ਦੈਟ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਯੂਥ ਲਈ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਬੜੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਇੱਕ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ। ਲੇਕਿਨ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਨਾਲ ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਕਹਿ ਦਾਂ ਕਿ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਸਿੱਖ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇੱਕ ਡਿਊਟੀ ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਉਹ ਸਿਰਫ ਇੱਕ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਪਹਿਨਾਵੇ ਵੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਇੱਕ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੀਆਂ ਬਾਣੀਆਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਹੈ। ਅਤੇ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ 5 ਬਾਣੀਆਂ ਸਵੇਰ ਦੀਆਂ ਅਤੇ 1 ਬਾਣੀ ਸ਼ਾਮ ਦੀ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਨਾ ਭੁੱਲੋ। ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸੁਖਮਨੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਗੋ ਥਰੂ ਕਰਿਆ ਕਰੀਏ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਉਹਦੀ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਜਾਵੇ ਤੇ ਆਈ ਥਿੰਕ ਦੇਰ ਇਜ਼ ਨਥਿੰਗ ਲੈਫਟ ਇਨ ਦਿਸ ਵਰਲਡ। ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਹਰਜੋਤ ਕੌਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸੁਖਮਨੀ ਆ ਇਹ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ 24 ਆਵਰਸ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕੰਡਕਟ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਲਾਈਫ, ਉਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਦੱਸਦੀ ਆ। ਲੇਕਿਨ ਮੇਰੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਅਸ਼ਟਪਦੀ ਵੀ ਨਾਲ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੜ੍ਹੀ ਜਾਓ, ਸਮਝੀ ਜਾਓ, ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਦੀ ਬੜੀ ਚੰਗੀ ਸਮਝ ਆ ਜਾਵੇਗੀ। ਇਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੇਰੇ ਕੋਲ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਅਤੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਮੈਂ ਫਿਨਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦਾ। ਮੇਰੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਜ ਵੱਜ ਕੇ ਜਰਾ ਸਾਥ ਦਿਓ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
We at the military museums have been very honored over the last few years to have displays on Sikh military history, and actually started in October 2018 thanks to Dr. Michael Hawley. So give us a wave, Michael. Brought in a great display for us at that time, and we've had displays ever since for Sikh Heritage Month every April, and we continue to do that. We will definitely do that again. Our wonderful volunteers Al Ross and Indra Singh have been the primary volunteers putting those displays together. So if you have any family members that have military history, if you have veterans among you that you may want us to include at the museum in those displays, please let Al and Indra know about them, and I'm sure that they'd be happy to talk to you about that military history too. Right now at the museum we're putting together a display on military immigration, so people that served in the military in another country and later came to Canada, and specifically Alberta. But we've got people from over 20 different countries that are featured in the exhibit. So India is featured, Captain Dullet's father is featured in the exhibit, and we have individuals from Afghanistan, Vietnam, Poland, Hungary, all over the world. So it would be wonderful if you came and visited the museum and saw the exhibit. And we're actually going to do the exhibit again in a few years' time. So if you think that there's someone in your family that came to Alberta that has military history that you'd like to see featured at the museum as part of that larger exhibit, we're going to do it again in a few years' time, and we're going to be gathering stories for that larger exhibit again. So we'll probably do it every 5 years or so, because there's so many stories, the diverse stories of Alberta, it's basically inexhaustible. There's so many stories that we could be telling at the museum, and we want to connect to all the communities as well. So it's been great connecting with the community over the last few years, and we've talked to various gatherings, so I'm very pleased to be part of this gathering as well. Thanks so much for having us here.
My name is Alan Ross, and
my name is Sikh.
And as Rory and Captain Dullet were saying, we're the volunteer researchers at the museum, so we help write some of the stories. As I look into the audience, I see some familiar faces from past exhibits and so forth, so glad to see you again. And as Rory and Captain Dullet were saying, if you have a family member, someone you know that's served in the forces, and it doesn't matter how far back that history goes, come forward to us and we'll write that story and present it in the museum. I think it's a really good idea because it not only the Sikh heritage is such a great one involving the military and the way they were perceived as soldiers all through history, but also it commemorates and remembers those people that have served and given a sacrifice for whatever conflict or war that they fought, and for whatever reason they have fought in that war, either in their own belief or simply to bring food to their families. So as Rory and Captain Dullet said, if you have a story and you want it told, please come and talk to us and we'll gladly write it for you. At the back table there, you're probably wondering what we'll be doing sitting back there all afternoon, but we've got some stories that we've written if you want to come and take a look. In fact, we've written one with Captain Dullet, and next year we're going to do one with Second Lieutenant Randhawa. So if you've got some time, come on back and visit us, and thank you for having us.
Sayan Waheguru Ji da Khalsa, Waheguru Ji di Fateh. I just want to second what Captain Dullet mentioned. Thank you all for inviting us here. The reason we come here is not to only showcase the history, but to inspire young kids, younger generation to join the Canadian Forces. I would personally like to thank the museum for doing such an awesome job. If you do have the time, please go and look at the table. I did not know this, I read this. My own grandfather served in World War II, so we had kind of a connection there. My father served in the military, so I'm third generation here. So it's really inspiring to learn these things, even as a current Army officer. So really thank you all for your support. And if you have any questions, if you have younger kids who want to join, or if they have any questions, we have a tent there, they can come up and have a chat with us. Thank you all.
Our next distinguished guest is Dean Richard Sigurdson, who is the Dean for the Faculty of Arts at the University of Calgary and a passionate educator in the field of political science. Dean Sigurdson has previously played an active role at the University of Manitoba and the University of New Brunswick through leadership and academic engagements. For academic contributions, Dean Sigurdson has published on topics including the Canadian Charter Rights, First Nations, nationalism, and immigration. He has also advocated for the creation of the School of Creative and Performing Arts and the School of Languages, Linguistics, Literatures, and Cultures at the University of Calgary. We will now invite Dean Sigurdson on stage.
Well, thank you so much. It's a tremendous honor for me to be here today to help celebrate the life and the legacy of Guru Arjan Dev Ji. And it is really heartwarming for me to be with many of the friends that I've met over the last, I guess it's about 3 or 4 years now, that we have been working at the University of Calgary to help create a really, really exciting Sikh Studies program. And I can't tell you how enthusiastic we are at the university about this development, and how honored we are to be able to partner with you. It's also great for today to see politicians from the different levels of government that are here. It was great to just see colleagues from the military museums, which have an affiliation with the University of Calgary. So I think there's a large community effort here to help support the community, to honor and celebrate the community, and to move us forward in important ways. And I'd also like to very much thank Dr. Singh for her terrific presentation. I'm an academic, so I love lectures, and I learned so much from that presentation, and a really important words, and it really underscores the importance of Sikhism worldwide, throughout Canada, but also here locally. And it's really because of that that we at the University of Calgary have become involved with this really aspirational project to be able to create what will be a really unique program in Sikh studies at the University of Calgary in the Faculty of Arts. And so the main thing I want to do is to thank not just the Sikh Society of Calgary, but all of the community who have stepped up and contributed in amazing ways to help us launch this program. So we started talking about this idea with communities. Is there interest? Would there be some enthusiasm in the community to help us as a university to be able to support such a program when we only have limited funds and we can't really launch a full program necessarily without some support and a feeling that there will be an interest in the program. And you literally blew us away. It was so amazing. We had last year on Giving Day a fundraising drive for the Sikh Studies program, and I won't even tell you how low a number we were sort of looking for, but you contributed over $500,000 to the Sikh Studies program. And this wasn't one big donor writing a big check. These were hundreds of people, not just here in Calgary, but across the country, across North America and elsewhere, that saw this as a worthy goal for the Sikh community worldwide and to allow us the privilege at the University of Calgary to host such a remarkable program. So there's a couple of things that have already been started because of that success. The first is that the main project that we had in mind was to be able to have funds to be able to recruit someone who would be an instructor, that would be the professor for the program, to help us get started, to teach courses, to develop the curriculum, and to do the community outreach necessary to give life to this program. And so with your generous donations, with the generous support that we have, we will be announcing shortly. I really hope that we have all the paperwork done today and I can make the announcement, but sometimes things don't work out exactly. But you'll be delighted when we make the announcement in the next few days that we have a tremendous person who is going to just give credit to your community and to our academic community. I also felt that it was really important that the Faculty of Arts provide its own funding and support, and also as a research university, the University of Calgary wanted to make sure that we're contributing not just to the teaching and learning aspects, but to the research aspect of Sikhism. And so I found funds to be able to create what apparently is the first and only postdoctoral fellowship in Sikh studies, not just in North America, but in the world. And the announcement of that scholar will be made shortly as well. We've also had generous support to be able to expand the library holdings at the University of Calgary in Sikh Studies, which is, we in the Faculty of Arts still use books and journals, and so we still need those academic resources. So that's a tremendous thing. There's also been a very active group that has created a University of Calgary alumni affinity group that is really bringing together and showing the support for Sikh alumni. And then as part of the recruitment of the instructor will be some funds that will be set aside for that individual to host and to generate and facilitate community engagement so that we can go out into the community, your community and beyond the Sikh community, to make sure that we're educating people about the contributions of Sikhism. And for me personally, this is a really, really important venture because the more that I work with you, the more that I learn about Sikhism, the more I see how important this is to our students, to our Sikh students who have a strong affinity, but also to our non-Sikh students who want to expand their knowledge about the important values, traditions, history, culture of the Sikh community. And we're also hoping to focus not just on the history and the tradition, but on the contributions of the Sikh community in the immigrant diasporas, particularly in Canada. And this has really hit me personally and emotionally to watch the good work that is done. And I know how intrinsic that is to the values, the culture, and the traditions of Sikhism, and how rooted in the teaching of the Gurus that your generosity has been. So when we had the flood here in this city, the fires in Fort McMurray, more recently the apocalyptic rain in British Columbia, who stepped up and supported the people in need? The Sikh community. But it's not just when there's a crisis. You know, walking by this Gurdwara and seeing the kitchen. Right, we use this euphemism of food insecurity. What is that? That's hunger. That's hunger. We have hungry kids and families in this community. And what is the Sikh society doing? They're supporting those people with no strings attached. We are going to feed people as well as we can. And I think that our students, Sikh, non-Sikh, our scholars, beyond the university, need to learn about these values, the importance of Sikhism, what has been contributed. And the final thing I'll say is how important this program will be to a couple of larger initiatives of the University of Calgary. One around equity, diversity, and inclusion, and how important the Sikh community has been there in understanding the values and traditions of the community. But even more importantly, I've been really instrumentally involved in the development of a program in pluralism and global citizenship. And I can't think of a more important element to understanding the values around pluralism and the importance of global citizenship. What does it mean to be a global citizen? What does it mean to have responsibilities that go beyond your own personal or family life? Well, I think that the Sikh society, the Sikh Studies program is going to be integral to the success of that larger pluralism project. So I'm so enormously excited by this. I thank you so much. It's such an honor to be invited here to celebrate with you, and I can't thank you enough. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, Dean Sigurdson, for your support for the Sikh community and Sikh Studies program at the University of Calgary. It's incredibly inspiring for us as well as students at the university. To show our appreciation, we would like to invite members of the committee and Mr. Ojla to the stage to present Dean Richardson with a plaque.
And 13 years of effective public sector community service. He earned his MBA in Finance and Marketing from the Haskayne School of Business, another U of C alumni, and in 2016 he continued to strengthen his expertise by completing his ICD designation from the University of Toronto, Rotman School of Management. And Raj Dhaliwal was elected councillor for Ward 5 in 2021. Raj Dhaliwal grew up in Ward 5, shooting hoops and playing hockey and cricket at Prairie Winds Park, attending Lester P. Pearson High School, and earning a bachelor's degree in international relations from the University of Calgary, and a second bachelor's in chemical engineering from the Schulich School of Engineering. As a frequent guest on Red FM, Raj has been an important voice for the city in communicating how policy decisions at all levels of government impact our lives at a community level. Raj served on the board of directors for the Northeast Family Connection Society, where he oversaw the development and implementation of programs that support families and youth. We would like to invite both councillors to the stage.
Thank you very much. Sat Sri Akal. My name again is Richard Footmans, and I'm actually technically the Deputy Mayor in Mayor Gondek's absence. She sends her apologies and that she's representing the city at the Federation of Canadian Municipalities National Convention in Regina. And as Deputy Mayor, I'm filling in for her in her place. She and my good friend and colleague, Councillor Dhaliwal, have been sending me pronunciations and phonetical pronunciations of all the various languages. Unfortunately, I'm a very poor student, so please indulge my mispronunciations. I'd like to begin by starting with a land acknowledgement for the Treaty 7 Nations, as well as the Métis Nation District 3 for this area of town. But I'm particularly interested in also pointing out that we are living in a very particularly interesting place at the confluence of the Elbow and Bow Rivers, Mokinstis, the Elbow. And it is at the confluence of those rivers, we have a confluence also of ideas and people. And I think that's a common theme that's being found expression today for us as well. So with that, thank you very much. I'm honored to be here today to commemorate the impact of Guru Arjan Dev Ji and his teachings on the Sikh religion. As a city councillor, it is people like Guru Arjan Dev Ji who inspire me in my job as a councillor. But we must also strive to bring people together with different beliefs and opinions. Thank you for allowing me to be here to understand the impact of the Guru's teachings on the Sikh society of Calgary. Thank you, Anwad, to Daljeet Singh is here, and the committee that has spent countless hours in organizing this weekend's event and allowing us to join together in learning more about the Sikh religion. Thank you, Shukriya.
Thank you, Councillor. That was awesome. No, that was great. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh, Sareyan Nu Sat Sri Akal. First of all, I want to thank you, Uncle Tillon here, for organizing his team, for organizing this great event. Thank you so much. This was much needed. So thank you, and all the dignitaries and all the speakers, thank you for coming out. Guru Arjan Dev Ji, my son's name is Arjan. He was asking me last night about Guru Arjan Dev Ji, and he said, oh, he's my soulmate. And the reason I named my son was just because of Guru Arjan Dev Ji, right? Guru Arjan Dev Ji, the first martyr in Sikh history, we call them Shaheedan da Sartaj. He didn't waver from his faith, he didn't waver from his convictions. For 5 days he was tortured, but he always said, Tera kiya meetha lage. Whatever you're doing, I accept it with dignity, I accept it and I'm humble about it. And there's so much to learn from all that, especially the times we live in, like Councillor Hootmans alluded. Every day in our council chambers we are thinking about how can we make our city better, how can we make our city equitable for all, how can we make our city inclusive, how can we make our city more diversely stronger. So, and when I go back to Guru Arjan Dev Ji, that's exactly what he tried to do. Sukhmani Sahab, Sukh di Mani. In my personal life, I'm going to be honest, anytime and every time I am going through rough times of my life that some of us do go through more often than not, I always go and pick up Gutka and do Sukhmani Sahab. And the peace of mind I get, I just can't put it in words. And that's why Guruji called it Sukh di Mani. Anytime you're going through that despair, you're in the lower part of you're in that valley, I always encourage people, go pick up Gutka and read Sukhmani Sahib. Long time ago, my dad is here. And every year, during the month of Magh, he made a habit every Magh do Sukhmani Sahib 40 parts. And I had a girl that she was here on a student visa. She applied for immigration, got declined. She applied again, got declined. And then one day she's sitting and talking to me and she's like, Guruji, main ki karan? What shall I do? I said, all you need to do is do 40 parts of Sukhmani Sahib, and I can promise you, you will get Canadian immigration. Do it, try it. She did, and today she's a Canadian immigrant, and every time she meets me, she reminds me of that. That's the belief that Guru Arjan Dev Ji gave us. That's the belief we live with. That's the belief I live with. And every day, being the martyr is one thing, but that light in our life, being the first Sikh martyr and always setting that precedent for us that no matter what happens, you shall not waver from your convictions. And I think we need more of that in Sikh religion, but also in the humanity. This month is also Sikh Kalukara month. And in 1984, when Sikhs were assembled at Darbar Sahib, just for this occasion, celebrating the martyrdom of Guru Arjan Dev Ji, Darbar Sahib was attacked viciously and indiscriminately people were killed, kids, seniors. So we shall always remember that we are going through that Kalukara week too. So that being said, मैं साਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਹੱਥ ਜੋੜ ਕੇ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਦਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੇ ਬੁਲਾਇਆ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹਦੇ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਿਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ ਔਕਾਤ ਹੈਗੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਸਕੀਏ I see Dr. Hawley, I see Dr. Grewal, I see another doctor Harjot there ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਹਾਦਤ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਾਂ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖੀਏ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੀਏ ਅੱਜ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਲੋੜ ਆ ਅੱਜ ਗਨ ਵਾਇਲੈਂਸ ਬਹੁਤ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਬਾਰ-ਬਾਰ ਇਹੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ 1 ਘੰਟਾ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਬਤਾਈਏ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਗੁਰੂਆਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਦੱਸੀਏ ਗੁਰੂਆਂ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਹਾਦਤ ਬਾਰੇ ਦੱਸੀਏ ਜੋ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੁਖਮਨੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਵਾ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਅਸ਼ਟਪਦੀ ਹੋਈ ਰੋਜ਼ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਸੁਣਾਈਏ ਤੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਸਮਝਾਈਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ
Thank you so much to both counselors for sharing their thoughts. I think it's a really divine experience to have the teacher and student all come full circle. So that is really interesting. On that note, the entire committee here at Sikh Society would like to honor Councillor Putmans and Councillor Dhaliwal. So I would invite members of the committee to come on stage so that we can honor both of these councillors.
Our next lecturer is Sher JB Singh, who will be speaking on the contributions to musicology by Sikh Gurus. Sher JB Singh is one of the founders and the executive director of Guru Arjan Institute of Sikh Studies, an organization that started in 2004. It's a place of Gurmat studies and activities in Northern Virginia, USA. They have a pre-K to high school and beyond program, which includes Gurmat Sangeet, through learning of Keertanee with the Guru's blessed stringed instruments and in the way prescribed in the Guru Granth Sahib. In the recent years, they've been an active promoter of many important initiatives within the community, including Mool Nanak Shahi Calendar and through the GAISS Seva Foundation. Some of the main and recent initiatives have been Project Nankana Sahib, and from November 2020 to November 2021, extending relief efforts for Indian farmer protests. Gurmat Sangeet, or Sikh heritage music, is one of his big passions for the last decade. Informally trained under the guidance of many ustads, he is passionate about the revival of the authentic style of doing kirtan and teaching it to the next generation. At the professional level, he manages an elite solutioning organization that develops new IT and cloud solutions for the US Navy and the USMC. Please welcome Sher JB Singh to the stage.
Vaiguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaiguru Ji Ki Fateh. I have a lot of material, so I'm going to be talking fast. Thank you for introducing me, and I represent the institution, Guru Arjan Institute of Sikh Studies, and it's my honor to be here, my pleasure to be here. My cousin Gagan has never asked, very few people who ask for anything ever, so Gagan koi kis kehna hai, jane panda. So, contributions of Sikh Gurus, I'm talking about that. Sikh Gurus showed that through music, the pathway to achieve union with the wondrous creator, Vaheguru, and achieving the supreme purpose of human life. The unique form of devotional music that we refer to as Gurbani Kirtan, Shabad Kirtan, and also Gurmat Sangeet, Guru Di Mat, from the mind of the Guru, prescribed from the Guru's mind, the music. Developed to help us use music, the natural instinct that we have for music, to reach a divine spiritual bliss. and ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ it's called anhad, the state of anhad, where it's an experiential sound which ਅੰਦਰੋਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ sound ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ, that sound that is above all other sounds. It's the sound that opens the inner eyes, the inner self, and where personal experiences, as like Ganiji said, are infused with the sacred verses. And the sacred verses are felt. So the divinely revealed message to the Guru is felt and is experienced, and the ultimate bliss of life is obtained. And then you're awakened and you experience the Creator. Imagine yourself in a real life situation, facing an adversary that's 1,000 times stronger than you, and a problem and a challenge. If you're a junior person in a corporation and you're faced by a tough project, you're going to say, okay, give it to somebody else, please, I'm still learning here. Or you're a student and your teacher is giving you some tough work, and you say, okay, well, I'm going to try to find the easy way out. But now, think about the people who will take that challenge, and why? Think about why. Because they have experienced that emotion, that experience somewhere else, and they can apply that to this next challenge in life. An example of this in Sikh history is Baba Bachittar Singh, Bhai Bachittar Singh ji. He was a general in the Sikh army, and during the early 1700s, he's remembered as one of the bravest soldiers in Sikh history. And to this day, when Tadib and Sikh bards reflect upon his bravery and the bravery of other Sikh martyrs, they call upon him. And Bachittar Singh single-handedly defeated, and which was the point in one of the battles at Anandpur for the return of the Mughal forces who had cornered Anandpur Sahib with it. And we were completely outnumbered, so basically he is remembered as the person who had it in him, the courage. He had gone through that emotion of being very strong and being very courageous, and whether it's getting rid of your ego or getting rid of your fear, he had experienced that through the Guru. So if we take a moment now to think about such heroic acts, right, the question comes up, where does this immense courage come from? And Sikh musicologists, people who practice music to the level where they can teach, where they can experience it, and believe that the answer is in Sikh music, and believe the right kind of music. Music was there before Guru Nanak Sahib Ji's time, but bringing that music to the level that they did, the right music can help you dispel fear, the right music can help you understand people, the right music can help you get rid of your ego. The right music can basically create very important experiential feelings. So, because emotions and music are so interconnected, Sikh gurus chose music as a universal, language to share their wisdom, the word of God as was revealed to them in a prose form. So it can be shared with the entire humanity. As the slide shows, in this ancient painting of Guru Nanak Sahib sitting with his friend Bhai Mardana ji, and a few paintings ago, when the slide started, there was Bhai Guru Arjan Dev ji on one side playing the saranda, and on the right side was again Guru Nanak Sahib ji sitting, and Bhai Mardana ji for 58 years he accompanied him, and they traveled the world for most of those years. And Bhai Mardana ji played the rabab. Gurbani sprouted within. It was like a spring that just comes out. You don't need, to fill that spring, or you don't need to, worry about where it's coming from. It's just going to come. You just know that source is there. So similarly, that spiritual gift came to Guru Nanak Sahib Ji, it went to other gurus. And how the Guru sang it, how the Gurbani was sung, how it was revealed to them, how they felt at that time, and that's how it was prescribed to the Sikhs. Before every verse, before every part of Gurbani where it has to be sung, Guru Sahib, Guru Arjan Sahib Ji wrote it so that we don't forget. So Sikh Gurus, they believe that singing God's praises was the most important way of attaining God's blessings. Guru Granth Sahib Ji contains music as the essential means to understand Gurbani, understand the divine word. The index, as Dr. Harjot Kaur pointed out, it has the rags in it. And a rag it's a combination in Western music between a score and a chord. A rag gives you a lot of flexibility. It's not in Western music. In Western music, you follow a music. In a rag, as in a chord, you're given certain notes and you explore them. You explore them from inside. And so there are 31 rags in the index, but if you go through Guru Granth Sahib Ji, there are 62 unique rags. And and then several emotional signatures, like the word using kar, the word of adhaniya or sohle. Those give us the feeling or the focus of the singing. So the Gurbani is giving us the message, but how to fully deliver it. On top of that, the author has stamped on it and saying, this is how, if you sing it, you will hit the target. So Guru Granth Sahib Ji, just in conclusion on this slide, embodies the collective wisdom of all our gurus and serves as our eternal guru. And when we look at the text, it gives us clear references and the musical modes and understanding the message from that lens of the prescribed emotion. When we talk to somebody, if we are not at the same level, we say we're talking past each other. We don't want to be talking past each other when we're talking to a guru. We want to listen to the guru. We want to really understand what is being said. So rag is emotion. It's again a musical framework of certain notes and in a certain manner, and they help generate those moods. There are 22 microtones within 7 notes that each feeling of a, even when we chundi bhi maarde, the feeling we get internally, or when you're walking and how you feel somebody around you, each of these feelings is very minute, and on those 22 microtones, all of those are captured. And they come in the 7 main notes. So like I said again, at the beginning of every section of Gurbani, there is the title, and rags have been the backbone for the last 2,000 years. From the Shyam Ved time, rags have been part of from the 2nd, 3rd century onwards, part of the world of Indian music. So evolution has given emotions a central role in the human psyche. Whether it's our deepest fears or closest attachments, our emotions influence our thoughts and our actions, and ultimately define our experience as human beings. And if you see a child who's stranded on the road, or somebody who is in need of some kind of help, we will reach out. We will not be worried, but what are people going to say? What are am I going to get hit over, or am I going to get something bad by doing that? It's letting the intellect aside and feeling and doing what your emotion says. So that is what rag is. And similar to the story of Bhai Vishittar Singh, you have to put the emotions in play in making certain decisions. So, and again, rag, experiencing it through Kirtan will make you feel ki if that opportunity or similar situation comes, main ki karanga ya ki karangi us time pe, because I have gone through that pain. Whether it's how Bhai Sahib was saying, I hope everything is well in your life, but whatever it is, right? Whether it's Sukhmani Sahib or singing Gurbani or listening to Gurbani and rag, you will experience a way out of that difficult times. So composing the mind, again, it is an art of life. Jinna asi the deeper we go into it, it is, it helps, like Sikhi is, it's how we're always learning, we're always walking that path till the end. So teachings of our gurus break down the human character into two halves, two equal halves. The mind and the soul. Mind, the one that generates negative thoughts at times. And there's always a balance, and the soul is saying, no, this is not the right thing, don't think like that, you got better do this way. How do you balance the two? How do you live in a balanced way, in a neutral way? It's the rag that helps, and the Gurbani that then leaves an imprint. When we go to a printing press, if the press isn't hot, right? You try to put paper on it, nothing will get printed. If the press is hot, you put paper on it, the words will get printed. Or similarly, Gurbani will come in us if it's delivered in the right way. Alright. Again, one other interesting thing, Gurbani is written in first person. So when we put ourselves in it, we can tell the Guru is talking to us. कोई भी गुरबाणी दी तुक चलदी जे ਅਸੀਂ ਧਿਆਨ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸੁਣਾਂਗੇ ਅਸੀਂ we will realize that Guru Sahib is talking to my current situation and to help me live through it, get through it. So I'm going to talk about the instruments now. Sikh Guru Sahibs gave us 5 main stringed instruments. Rabab, as I talked before, Bhai Mardana ji played it from his childhood. He was a family of musicians. Then Bhai Faranda ji gave him the eventual Rabab that Guru Nanak Sahib ji designed, leaving before his first Udasi that Bebe Nanki ji gave money for. Rabab was that. Rabab to baad aya Saranda, which between Guru Amar Das ji and Guru Arjan Sahib ji, Guru Arjan Sahib ji played it, and Guru from the childhood years, and Guru Amar Das ji had a hand in helping develop it. Came the Saranda. Guru Hargobind Pasha ji, when he saw the sound of the Sarangi and the Miri times, when the battles of Amritsar or Somni Hargobindpur or these battles were being fought, Sikhale, like an army has a band, right? Every army, that's why, you would imagine, why does an army need a band? Why do they need music, and why do they need that? Because the band is putting some, instilling a sense of courage in the people. Aise karke the Tadis, the Keertaniyas who used to sing with the Tad, and the Keertaniyas who used to sing with their instruments, they were singing the wars in Guru Granth Sahib Ji and instilling that courage in the army and the Sikhs to go in. So the Sarangi came in that. And then the Taus, which Guru Hargobind Pasha Ji, and then Guru Gobind Singh Ji Pasha Ji was the ardent player of it, master player of it. And then from the Taus, when the battle started, again, the request was, can we make the Taus smaller, and the Dilruba came, the 8 panja instruments, as you can see in this picture by Babak, Guru Hargobind Ji, that time, when Sikhs used to travel with their instruments, travel with Guru Granth Sahib Ji. When it was the time in 1704, similarly Sikhs traveled with their instruments. When we read about modern history and military history in Sikhs, when we see Sikh military goes anywhere, Sikh regiments in other parts of the world go anywhere, they carry Guru Granth Sahib Ji with them, they carry their Kirtan with them. They have beautiful sounds, they have, depending on the instrument, or 10 tara, I play the Saranda. But underneath are anywhere from 12 to about 30 strings, depending on the instrument, that create different microtones that resonate with what notes you're playing. So you've gone from sa to re to ga, whatever notes, but microtones, they contribute and resonate, and they make the connection between one feeling to the other as you're going through it. Again, so, and Sarangi is, so between the Sarangi and the Rabab, many instruments came out. The Sitar came out, the Sarod came out, and many modern day Western instruments as well came out. So these are some of our instruments, and unfortunately, in the early 20th century, the use of these instruments greatly declined, and so did the quality with that of the art of Kirtan. Because if, you need the instrument, you need the technique, and you need a teacher. When one of those things falls apart, then the whole tradition, goes apart. So Britishers came, they did not have an understanding of Indian music, and they also they had a trade mind, so they brought a German-made harmonium, and the thing was that the focus of, when you don't practice, right, when you have to just go and perform quickly, that whole meditative process of getting ready spiritually, Kirtan karan vaste, jaan vaste, people used to carry their instruments miles and miles before, before the time of, cars and things like that. So they were physically ready by the time they reached wherever they were going to do Kirtan. And then, just at the independence of India, the Rababi Keertaniyas are mostly Muslims. With the communal lines that partition happened, Muslims decided to either go back to Pakistan, or if you decided to be in India, you were not given that chance. So they had no opportunity. But they were majority of the Keertaniyas. Do ya tin ya char, these, not more than that were the traditional Kirtankars, the Sikh Kirtankars. A few Muslim Rababis became Sikhs to stay back, and we have those families right now who do Kirtan. And then obviously when Kirtan is not being done in the way from the beginning of time, how it's been done, we kind of get out of tune. We don't see a value for it. So those were the reasons for decline. But all was not lost. The people who stayed within their homes and kept to it within their families, or the sects like Namdharis in the Sikhs, or some Rababi Kirtan families, inhone bacha ke rakhe. So we must honor them, and we must learn from them, and try to nurture that tradition. So in Gurmat Singhi, we have an unbroken from Guru Nanak Sahib Ji's time, 500 years of this, but it needs to be re-energized. We need to continue to propagate. Just recently, the Jathedar of Akal Takht made a decision that in a few years, at Harmandir Sahib and other Gurdwaras, Kirtan should start to happen in Gurbani Rags and using the string instruments. So that's a good positive movement. I think I talked about this. I'm going to go through this quickly. This is a timeline slide. As you can see, the family of Bhai Mardana Ji's son, Bhai Sajada, Bhai Rajada, they did Kirtan during Guru Angad and Guru Amardas Ji's time, Bhai Bannu, Bhai Sallu. These are all the lineage of Guru Bhai Mardana Ji. And then finally on the next slide, you'll say when it ended on Bhai Lal, who passed away a few years ago in Pakistan. From Guru Nanak Sahib Ji, all the contributions of all the gurus and during the different times. Again, we don't have time to go through this timeline. And I will do some research because my numbers are a little bit different than how a couple of people talked about. But again, on the number of rags that, like Guru Arjan Pacha Ji is talking about that. Unhone jodi bhi, the mridang instrument, the two-sided drum was there. He's credited for creating the jodi pakhavaj out of it. And he formalized chowkis, he formalized, he composed shabas in 28 existing rags, and he actually created 31 new rags, which was Mishrat rags. He combined Gaudi de 12 prakar, Gaudi rag, ek kya pe 12 different, Gaudi, Dakhni, Gaudi, Purbi, like that. Again, I'll just touch on the 1840s is when the German instrument was made. In the early 1900s. Again, with the, to establish their footing in India, and so there was a lot of, the British brought the harmonium, but all the same, it gave an opportunity for everyone to learn, so it had its positives as well. But again, as you can see, many people have done a lot. I've written some names there, but again, I don't have the time to go into the detail. I'm going to end with, in conclusion, so at the end of the day, what do I want, what I hope, Keertanee, what do we leave with on this topic? So I hope that the takeaway is that Sikh music is the singing and performance of devotional Sikh music in accordance with the teachings of the Gurus to nurture our spirituality, simply. To learn anything in life, we need three things, like I said. You need the source of knowledge, the person or a book, or many things as a teacher, a technique to learn. The basic what is the technique? So for a sportsman, it's having that spirit of sportsmanship. For a teacher, how do you teach? How are you able to get what you know across to someone else? And in the art of writing, how do you write? How are you able to express what's inside you into words, so when somebody else picks it up, they can relate to it? So those three things, and obviously the tools. In Kirtan, the tools are the instruments, the sadas. I'd like to end by sharing a small audio recording that, since I'm not doing Kirtan, I had one of my students make a short recording. In fact, the one that was playing before was in Rag Asa in the beginning. What we're going to hear is the genre of Rag Tilang for a couple of minutes. And in Rag Tilang, what I say, if your emotions should help your mind feel when something that you're desired and you've done a lot of efforts to impress somebody, to make an impact, but you fail. How do you emote after that? But do you give up those, or do you have anger, or do you make another attempt, another sincere attempt? That is the feeling of Tilang. So I request you please play that. Think, contemplate on this Shabad. Merciful, merciful is the Lord. Lord is ever merciful. He always gives to everyone. makes you pray for helping anyone in need, helping yourself, and praying for everyone. Vaiguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaiguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thank you so much, Sher Singh Ji, for sharing your insights on our culture.